Yo, LogicDawg here. So in this video, we're talking about Escape from Tarkov, in particular if you're having a mental block. I know personally I've had my point where I really like the game, but it was just a combination of gear fear and stress, or feeling like I die too much that I just must not be good enough to even play the game. So eventually I got to a point where I would just do scav runs, maybe just do some hideout management, or sometimes just not even launch the game at all. So if this sounds like you, or you're new to the game, here are some tips I found to help me get past that mental block. So let's dig in. Tip number 1, sell everything that you aren't willing to lose. So what I mean by that is, if you aren't willing to just put it on your PMC right then and there and go into a raid and just risk losing it, or it sounds like, oh man, if I lose this it would suck because it's a 150,000 ruble gun or a 250,000 ruble armor, then just sell it. Clean up your stash, get everything that you're comfortable using, because by the time you get to the day where that's not going to be an issue for you, you'll be able to buy it again. So a good rule of thumb is always, if you can't afford to buy it twice, then just sell it. Tip number 2, know the cost of your loadout. Create a loadout and know how much the total cost is. This kind of helps you have a better idea of when you're on your scav or you're on your PMC, how much you need to make to have that break-even point. Obviously, if you escape with your PMC, you're already going positive, because anything past what you've taken out to equal over the total of your loadout is all profit. So when planning your next raid or whatever, have in mind what your gear needs are. So below is I'll just give you a quick layout of a loadout that's relatively cheap. There's obviously modifications you can do. It's not by any means the cheapest loadout. I mean, personally, if you just go in with a pistol and make the best of it, sometimes that can be very profitable, and pistols are pretty inexpensive and the ammo is pretty inexpensive, and you can loot scavs and get their loot out and sell that. But here's just an example. So for a helmet, the 6B47 level 1 from Prapor is 33,336. So the reason I'm recommending this one over the other helmet, which I believe is the SBH1, is only because of the headset. You can obviously run the GSH headset if you would like to with that helmet, but personally I don't like that headset, so I choose to go with the M32s, which you can get from level 1 skier. So for the armor, we got the level 1 Ragman, the Paka. It's just 29,154 rubles. For the weapon, we're going to use the SKS, which is 21,810. A rig, we're just going to take the bank robber from Ragman again for 10,000. The backpack, we can take the Burkut for 23,000. And the headset, like I said, we're going to take from Skier. For meds, this is just basic meds, so you can take like an A2, 2 bandages, and then 2 S-March to just kind of stop the bleeds, stop the heavy bleeds. That totals around 10,700. Ammo, we'll take in 60 rounds of PS, which is the 7.62x39. It's a pretty good beginning ammo. It gets through a lot of armor and helmets, so that total would be about 5,460. If we decide to go with the insurance on all of that, it would be 31,939 for the insurance, which brings our grand total for the whole loadout to 185,417. So it's really up to you if you want to do the insurance. The nice part with insuring this kind of loadout is that a lot of people, unless it's like the very beginning of a wipe, will probably not pick it up. Most of it you'll get back, and essentially then you're getting that loadout back for 31,000. So it's pretty worth it. The only things obviously you probably won't get back is the ammo and the meds, but everything else, I mean, there's a good chance maybe the headset they'll take, but there's a good chance that everything else you'll get back. And a lot of this too, you can pick up on your scav runs, and just keep as part of your loadout, but having that idea of this is what I need, and until you get a little more comfortable with spending more and you realize that, hey, now I found a good money making route, then you can start paying more for armor, using better armor, getting better armor. But just keep in mind with like the level 1 Paka, for example, or even the SKS is, you're not going in with PvP in mind. And if you are, you need to make sure that you're going from a distance, because I mean, pretty much any ammo is going to rip through the Paka, and the SKS is a great gun, but it is single fire, and until you put it in a 20 round mag, and even then, it's slow firing compared to a lot of other guns. So change the loadout depending on what your goal is in mind. Okay, tip number 3, use your scav run as much as possible. Anytime you're done with the raid, check to see if it's off cooldown, or if you're done cleaning stuff out in your hideout, check to see if it's off cooldown. You're essentially able to get free loot. I mean, you're able to make 100% profit on the run. So it, not even from just making money standpoint, you also get more map knowledge too. So use it on maps you want to learn better, maybe ones that you have a task coming up on that you just don't know that map real well. Just use the scav run on it, just explore and get a hang of where to go. I will put some links in the description of some great sites for maps, so that way you can kind of look at where you need to go and how to extract, where to extract, and those kinds of things. Tip number 4, decide what your goal is. So we kind of touched base on this a little bit previously, but just to expand on it more, when you are deciding what you want to go into for a loadout, you should also be thinking, what is it you want to accomplish? Are you trying to go in to complete a task? Do you want to go into PvP? Do you want to just go in to make money? This not only once you decide that, you can create a loadout to kind of make sure it helps with that task, but also too, when you load into the map and you're walking around and you start hearing gunshots and stuff, you can really decide, do I want to take on this fight, or do I want to maybe pass it by? Maybe you see an easy opportunity, maybe there's you can third party a fight. Just keep in mind that if you decide that you want to stray from your original objective, that you're always creating a little more risk, because you didn't go in with that intention. You went in with the intention, and you have to load out with the intention of doing what your goal is. So you are could get a good shot off on somebody. You could third party someone, for example, like while you're doing a task, but there could always be someone else waiting in the bushes too that you don't see, and then they see you shoot, and now you've given away your position, and maybe you're up there looting, and then they kill you, and now you've lost your loadout, or you've died, when really you just meant to go in there and do a task. So kind of decide, and this will also help you later on, and we'll talk about your pathing, and deciding where you want to go, and which places to avoid, not avoid, to make money or do the task and all that good stuff. Tip 5, take deep breaths while loading in. One technique that's really useful is called square breathing, or four square breathing, or box breathing. And what you do is you first start off by exhaling all your air out, and then you inhale, count to 4. Let's count to 4 at the top of your breath to keep the breath in, then breathe out for 4 seconds, and then once you're fully exhaled, wait for 4 seconds, and then breathe in again for 4 seconds, and then hold it for 4 seconds, then breathe out again for 4 seconds, and then wait for 4 seconds. It can be really stressful when you're loading in sometimes, so especially when the match is starting, I mean, feel free to just take some deep breaths for a little bit, to do some square breathing to calm yourself down. It's a proven technique. It's used by the US military, it's used by Navy SEALs, it's used by nurses, athletes, oxygenating your blood and getting that oxygen to your brain can really help you think more clearly, be a lot more calm, slow your heart rate, and then you're able to make better decisions and perform better. And this brings me to another good point, that when you get into a PvP match that's more than just getting headshot from a distance or something. I mean, it's not even really, a match, but if you start getting into a battle, make sure you're breathing. I know for me, it took me a little while to realize that I was actually kind of holding my breath instead of consistently breathing. And that, again, without that oxygen going to your brain, you don't tend to make the best decisions. So just make sure you're constantly breathing and you're not holding your breath during those matches. Tip 6, when you die, don't take it personally. So everyone dies in Tarkov and nobody masters it right away. You might die from a scav or a player and you might think, oh man, that was such a stupid decision. I suck at this game. I can't believe I did that. But you really need to just take every death as a learning opportunity. There's so much to know about this game, and there's so many different angles on maps and distances and ammos and armor, and there's just a ton of stuff about this game. And even the best players, they die. Nobody goes in and just wipes the whole map, and especially when you're coming from a different FPS game where you're just used to going in and killing 4, 5, 6, 7 people at once, maybe even more, before you die. It can be a little disheartening, and plus, like, you just lost all your gear and you lost all your loot that you found. But just keep in mind that you need to just learn from the opportunity and push forward. Everyone dies. It's a much more enjoyable experience if you just learn to kind of roll with the deaths and take that opportunity to learn, and don't be so harsh on yourself. So when you die, don't take it personally. Tip 7, decide your pathing. So before, we previously discussed having a goal in mind when you create your loadout. Now's the time when you've actually loaded into the map and you have your goal in mind, and you need to decide which route you want to take to accomplish that goal. So I'll put up a map right now on the screen of customs. Now this is a heat map to just show where high traffic player areas would be. So the brighter pink is more trafficked areas, and the lighter blue or purple would be less trafficked areas. Now that doesn't mean where there isn't anything that nobody goes through there, or that you shouldn't still be cautious, but at least when you're deciding your pathing, you're going to come up to these zones, you can pay extra attention, be a little more cautious. And when you start learning the maps a lot better, you'll gain a lot better knowledge. But listen out for gunshots, listen out for activity, look for dead bodies, see if you can find any signs of, if people have been there, and you'll kind of have a better idea of the pathing you can take. But this is just kind of here to help. But yeah, decide your pathing when you go in, so that way you can complete your goal and you can extract successfully. All right, so for my last tip, before I get started, I just want to say, if you like what you're seeing, please make sure you like, subscribe, comment on anything that you did like. Maybe there's something more you want to see. Just drop a comment. Let me know if there's anything else I can do to help. I'll at least try to make videos, keep going forward here to just keep making content that helps you out. But so lastly, I want to touch on offline mode. No, offline mode shouldn't go underestimated. I only put it toward the end of the list because I feel like a lot of people's recommendations are to go into offline mode, and it is a great recommendation. I just think, like, it's, when you go into offline mode, it really feels like maybe sometimes you're not accomplishing anything. You're not making progress on your PMC, you're not getting great loot, so why not just kind of push through the deaths on your PMC? But what I did get a good experience from when I was going into offline mode is especially practicing for tasks that maybe are difficult, or I'm not sure where they are on the map, and you can look at the wiki and you can see, okay, it's here. Like Operation Aquarius, for example, is in dorms 203. But, you know, do I go up the stairs and go left? Do I go up the stairs and go right? Which door should I go into? You know, those kinds of things where you can kind of learn that route to go into where you might expect scavs. So that way, when you go into it, you know right away where you are, and you're not just kind of fumbling around the map, standing there looking at the wiki while your guy is, you know, about to get shot at. So just consider offline mode. Another good thing is if you're really looking to improve your combat skills, or if you have a new loadout you want to practice with, go into offline factory and just set it to, you know, you can set the scavs up to horde mode, or just do as online, and just get used to that loadout, get used to how it feels, and especially with inertia now, you know, you move differently depending on your weight and stuff, and it's important to be comfortable with that loadout before you actually go into a normal raid. And, you know, having that map knowledge, having that you know, loadout knowledge will help you survive greatly. But that's all the advice I have for you guys right now. Again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.